my name is Marilu Mesaros. I'm co-founder and director of Ciclo, and I've been here in Punta Mona for a month. So today we're having this conversation with members of the community. Punta Mona is located in the Caribbean side of Costa Rica, in Manzanillo, and it's a regenerative lifestyle center for botanical studies and design. And well, today we have 4 people: Lee, Jacob, David, and Charlotte. Here in Punta Mona, there are right now 14 people from 8 different countries living together. And well, here we have people from the US and from Canada. So first, we're just gonna introduce ourselves and maybe just like share what's your name, where are you from, and how long have you been in Punta Mona?
My name is Lee. I'm from South Carolina. I've been in Punta Mona since March 16th. Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm Jacob. I'm from Denver, Colorado, and I've been in Costa Rica at Punta Mona since February 29th.
I'm David. I grew up in Washington State. I've been at Punta Mona for 15 months.
I'm Charlotte. I'm from Montreal, Canada. I am 24 years old and I've been in Punta Mona for 5 months.
So the intention of doing this conversation together is basically to share a little bit of this lifestyle that I've been able to experience in this month, and that this group of people have been just really digging in and just living it through these months. So it's beautiful. It's weird. It has many different ingredients happening, and we just wanted to share that inspiration and that model and lifestyle, a different alternative living. So the first thing that we wanted to share is what was your motivation on coming to Punta Mona, and also things starting this lifestyle that you are having and living right now.
For me, I've been living this lifestyle for the last 5 or so years, kind of moving from regenerative community or organic farms. And I've always seen Punta Mona. I met Stephen Brooks in 2013, and I've just watched Punta Mona. I'm like, I really need to go to that place. I resonate with the jungle. I resonate with the message. I also resonate with the reef, and everything that is here. And now I'm resonating with the people, and that's what's kept me here during these hard times. So, yeah, it's been a very interesting journey getting here, and it's been waves, and but having such a beautiful community around me, it's made it not feel lonely and not feel like I'm slowing down.
So is this your first community, or?
No, this is probably my second longer term community. I lived in one at Project Bonafide in Isla Ometepe, Nicaragua, for about 1.5 years. So this was the next step, I think, in communities. This one, I definitely, I've fallen in love.
Well, this is my first community experience. I found out about Punta Mona about 2 years ago, coming to Envision Music Festival in Uvita, Costa Rica. And what motivated me to come to Punta Mona specifically is that my family, on my father's side, we own a 200-acre farm in Texas. And it's been our family for about 135 years, and it's coming down to my generation. I figured this is a good time to learn about regenerative projects and what all can I do with my land based off the things I learned here. And as far as when it comes to community, it is definitely a new experience for me. You really learn how to be your vulnerable self and how to really own yourself at the same time. There's, for the lack of explicitives. But yeah, it's a beautiful experience, especially Lee said, during this time of a good standstill in life. We've all been able to come together and cultivate different parts of ourselves and cultivate together.
You've stayed the whole season of COVID together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good place to be. For me, I knew very little about farming and what regenerative living even meant. was craving people and community. I'd lived in community before. I kind of left my community, a long-term relationship, and hit the road, and was just like reached a point where I was tired of being by myself and really wanted to be around people again. And I just kind of happened upon this place. And I came in for the day, check it out. I just hiked in through the jungle, and I was just like, oh, this seems really cool. And the more I learned about the values of permaculture, it resonated with the values I already had. I just didn't have any words for it. So for me, the people is what brought me here, but the lifestyle is what's got me here.
I'm a scuba diving instructor, and I was teaching in Mexico last year, and I was really diving into the underwater world and the nature and the biodiversity over there. And I saw how climate change really impacted the reefs and the communities. And I wanted to learn more about how I could live a more sustainable and regenerative lifestyle. And Punta Mona came up, and it's been such a beautiful experience to really dive into the land instead of the underwater world and learn how to grow plants and work with them and get to know them on a more deeper level.
I was thinking on what you were saying, and maybe it's not clear for everybody what does it mean to live this lifestyle, so like maybe like you were saying, like I stood because of the lifestyle. So do you want to describe a little bit of how the daily activities happen here?
Yeah, I'll start with just kind of speaking to like learning about what regenerative living is. I'd heard a lot about sustainability and this idea of kind of making sure we're not causing more problems, but as we see, like we've done a lot of harm, in the last few hundred years, and regenerative living is about doing more than our fair share, and actually rebuilding some of the things that we've diminished as people, and that now just doing your part to stay the same isn't enough. We need to give back. So here, it's really about I think maybe Lee could speak better to the lifestyle, because you've been living it for a long time, and the on the ground thing is where you are just like you are in your element, and it's so like you are one of my inspirations here for sure.
Thank you. Please, all of y'all. The regenerative lifestyle is not easy, but it's something that at the end of the day you go back home or go back to your bungalow, jungalow, whatever you want to call it, you feel more full. But you're also feeling like you had a full day's work, and a lot of it is just observing nature and trying to work within these pathways that she has set in place that we've kind of disassociated ourselves from. Just getting your hands into it at the very basic level, and saving seeds and trying to integrate the different communities around us, our local communities, our current present community here at Punta Mona, the ecosystem that we can never escape, and how can we keep getting to a more closer resonance with what the land needs, and that takes time and takes commitment. And it's great to come and see the lifestyle, but once you're like deeper into it, you really can't go back. You've already sold yourself into the world, and it's been such a beautiful experience to come here and see people who are just starting to get into it, how they've just dived deep in, and how they've started to find the commitment within themselves of how can they play their part for the natural world around us, as well as spread that message. And that's what's going to take. The individual is very powerful, but also the individual can connect and resonate and harmonize with so many other like individuals. And so just getting the message out there is part of it. And I noticed along the way for me, a lot of people kind of had their doubts about what I was doing, or they had their judgments of like how I did it. Or not just me, but maybe the community I was in. And it's all about intentions, but like conscious intentions, and learning from your mistakes and going through that feedback loop, but not making like big changes too quickly, and kind of taking step by step. And as you observe, you notice the world around you, and it pretty much it tells you what it kind of wants, if you stop and you listen. So.
What are some of the challenges that you have faced here, and also like in this change? Because I know that all of you come, and we will talk about that later, like all of you come from a different background. It's not like you were always living in a rural area or doing this type of thing. So it's like, what are the challenges that you faced in a personal level and a social level, and how have you overcome those?
Difficult one for me was to be able to see people go away from the community. Like, there's so many people that I resonated with and I connected with on an amazing and deep and profound level, and to see them go and to let them leave is definitely something that I find that was really challenging.
Yeah, many people come, right? Like
Yeah.
come and go from
There's
Punta
a big
Mona.
flow of it.
For me, these people have come and go in my life in communities I've lived in, but it's somehow like the people that mean the most, they always come back, or at least now we can communicate with Instagram and Facebook, and I still feel like I'm still resonating with them, and I'm seeing what they're doing. And so yeah, it's been a major challenge, and but for me the biggest challenge is just the adversity that maybe you face when you're trying to live this regenerative lifestyle, and the world already has these systems in place that don't make it the easiest to continue on that lifestyle. Just maybe monetarily, keeping yourself afloat, or being able to stay where you can make that impact. And I guess for me, I've been able to overcome that particular challenge by just not giving up, and just if I really need to, I was able to, well, not now because I'm from the United States, but I was able to go back and make a little money and spend time with my family, and take that back, and then just keep on fighting it. And then once I got here, I guess the biggest challenge for me was just being away from my family and people that I loved and I connected to, and then meeting new people, and then they go away, and you still love them.
Meet them again.
And then you meet them again. You just wait. Just have some patience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if your will is strong enough, then every challenge is, you meet it head on, and you're able to overcome it if you will it enough. And if you can't, then go back to the drawing board and find out what do you want to accomplish in life, or do you want, maybe there's this act of non-doing and just being. Yeah.
I would say for me, being the only black male here, it's been a challenge for me, specifically coming from America, and just the social conditioning of what it means to be black in America. And first, going to India and feeling so comfortable there because everyone's melanated like me. But then coming here, and that's the first thing that pops in my head is like, oh shit, I'm the only POC here, all day. But to really, what I believe is that permaculture isn't just about regenerating places and lands, but it's about regenerating people and relationships. And so this place has been not quite a quarantine to me, but more like a cocoon, because it's developing you in a different type of way that's going to prepare you for even greater challenges outside of this place, no matter where we all go. And so to actually sit comfortably in my discomforts, and to see where they're coming, from me, from my environment, or is it just some trauma that's been like I haven't processed? And so to be here, it's been healing, and to realize, yo, like, yeah, granted there are a lot of things going on back in America, and I wish I could be there to like advocate on the front lines and protest. This is my own way and form of protesting, because the question I always had for my family was, and this is just so ironic that this happens, is what if society collapsed? What would we do? My first thing was, I go back to the farm, you know, just start learning about farming and all this stuff, be good. But lo and behold, come March, everything shut down. And where am I?
On the
Yeah,
farm.
exactly, exactly. But what this also teaches me is how to communicate through challenges, because even though I have so many cousins, you still have to learn how to communicate. So another thing I say is communication creates community. You know, Dave is our volunteer coordinator, and something that he strives for is before he, you know, puts himself in the situation in between conflicts or, you know, different views of, you know, community members, he makes sure that we talk directly one-on-one, because, you know, that's like, you know, I'm gonna go tell mom and dad this is what's going on. You know, we're all adults. So, therefore, as adults, we should at least try to come to a common ground. And if that can't happen, then that's when we go and reach the higher ups. But that's been just, this place is like a microcosm of the grander picture of the world. And so, you know, for everyone, this is it's showing their lights and it's showing their shadows and the things that they need to work on. And for me, I believe, you know, right now, this is the prime time. Everyone's having this, because the world is in a pause, you have this time to actually tune in order to tune out. So what the external world looks like really depends on what your internal world looks like. You can't change the world until you change yourself. And that's what we're all here doing right now. And so, you know, we're all trailblazers in our own worlds, and we're preparing ourselves to be those leaders for whatever may happen after or during while we're in this place.
Yeah, so it's not only about the land, but also about the relationships between you and your individual
Ecosystems.
sharing and coexisting.
Yeah, and that lesson is taken a while for me to learn, like what you're speaking to about understanding conflict differently. I mean, coming from the States, we're so used to just passing on conflict up the ladder, like someone else deal with this conflict. I'm gonna send it, you know, tell mom and dad, tell HR these things, and
Karen.
and you know, I came in thinking like, you know, that almost makes sense. So you can be a bridge and kind of help with this, but I realized actually you become a dam. You are in between the situation more than you are facilitating it, and actually encouraging people to deal with their problems directly builds community in a deeper way, and builds accountability and responsibility. You know, we here, we're not, like, it's all integrated, like your social life, your work life, your home life, it's just life here. Like you're not going to work and then coming home, and so you're always around the same people, and that holds you accountable in a different way. And for me, the other big challenge is just what you spoke to, commitment. Like, it gets uncomfortable. It gets uncomfortable, and there's a point where you're here, and it's like, almost like the novelty wears off. Like when you're just like learning all these new things, and it feels new, and you're like, wow, I'm doing all this for the first time. It feels very expansive. But then it's like, no, you keep doing it. You have to, it's not about it just feeling great all the time. It's about continuing to show up and work through that discomfort and have it come back around. But that's where for me, like, just doubling down and kind of allowing yourself to be uncomfortable, allowing that to just sit there, and it moves, and eventually, like, it has felt like it's all just life now. I mean, we used to schedule days off here, and it was like, you know, more of a sense of like, okay, now we're working, now your time off, and we've somehow gone away from that, and it's been really cool. Like, we just live here now, and like, it's all life. There's not work and personal time. It's just, you're just living with the land, and sometimes the day calls for having a dance party in the kitchen, or going out in the ocean. And sometimes it's like, no, it's time to work and get a lot done, and you know, just kind of living more, you know, finding that harmony with nature is what we're slowly accomplishing, I think.
For me, it's been a great experience to be around people that have had so many different experiences in life. And I think that the range here is like people from their 20s to their 40s kind of thing. Like it's, you know, it's young people. And like you've gone through so many things already, and you had these like deep questions and deep like, you know, like ideas and everything. So for me, it's been like super interesting experience. So I would like to ask you, how do you feel like this regenerative lifestyle has like blessed you in a way, like, or what are the takeaways from all of these that you've experienced so far?
That, for me personally, that I've been on the right track. I'm not stuck. I know there's a lot of my friends and family that are stuck at home right now, and it's really hard. They can't communicate with their friends. They have to wear masks all the time. Here, we're all quarantined together, so we know what the interactions have been, and that I'm here and still able to continue moving forward and learning every day and planting and growing, and I have this like freedom of thought and freedom of space, as well as these other beautiful people that have like their own shared experiences, and then like at the end of the day or just throughout the day and night, we can come together and we can share them, and then we all are in this like constant state of growth, as we always are. And maybe some people might feel like things in their life have been put on pause, but that's maybe a time to come back more introspectively. So I just feel very blessed to be around such beautiful, like-minded people, but also differently minded people, so that we all just add to this collective organism and lift each other up. And yeah, when you need that personal day, nobody's like, well, where's so and so? You know, they understand that people take their personal time when they need to. And yeah, it's just life here, and we've gotten out of the systems that most people are dependent, not all of the systems of course, but most of the systems that people are dependent on. So we can kind of see what it was like where before humanity messed up and, you know, made it too complicated. You know?
I would say learning the difference between accepting, tolerating, and understanding people. I'm really grateful overall for this whole quarantine situation, because usually this place, like we say, it's a constant buzz. It's like, you know, we got workshops going on, we got yoga teacher trainings, and everyone, like volunteer staff, are always just running around. You get a nice little chit chat here and there, learn about like what everyone's life is like, but everything stopped. And so then it's like, oh snap, like, who am I really living with? Who am I communing with here? Like, what's going on? But you know, I once heard someone say, when you accept and tolerate someone, or you look for the acceptance or tolerance, you don't see them as your equal. You see them more as either you see them as higher or you see yourself as low. No, we're all the same. And so when you learn to understand someone, you're learning what their strengths and their weaknesses are. And you learn how to maneuver, you learn how to go with the flow and grow with that flow. And so, you know, in my meditation classes back in Colorado, I use the whole metaphor of we're all different gears in this machine called life. And so, you know, my fingers are, you know, these are all of my dip points. But my dips and my whips, these are my flaws. But it's through community that we come together, and where, you know, I might be flawed, that might be someone's like good spot, but it keeps going. But the thing is, we don't know who's keeping this person going over here. So if this stops, this lags, which stops this. And so the whole machine gets awry. And so here, like, you know, that is the blessing about being here at Punta Mona, is that we all understand that, you know, right now life is heavy. And the way we all perceive life is different. Like tomorrow, for example, marks 5 years that my grandfather passed away, my mother's father. But it's also my other grandfather, my father's father's birthday. So it's just like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel tomorrow, but I understand that within myself. And so knowing, yo, I might need space, I might not, don't really know, but knowing I do have this community to support me in however I may feel. And that alone, that's a true gift because, you know, back in the States when everything is normal, you gotta go to work and you gotta fake the smile. But learning, being here is that, you know, I've come to understand this whole term of toxic positivity. It's like, be happy, no, you have a spectrum of emotions. Allow yourself to understand what you're feeling, accept it, but you don't always have to react off what you feel. And so that alone has been, like I said, that's been one of the greatest gifts about being here. And besides that, I don't know, it was like, yeah, being here, being able to walk out into the land and just pick whatever fruit I want. And it's like, and then going into like the world and being like, oh, I don't know where that came from. Like, it's kind of,
Pay for that.
yeah, straight up.
Do I have to wash it?
Yeah. But seeing people's personal transformations here, like there's one community member when he came here, he was a heavy drinker, had a little chub, but over time, watching his life regenerate has been a beautiful process, because you know that who you are before is not who you are now. And as long as you can keep understanding, yo, I'm not the same person yesterday that I am today, and who knows who I'll be tomorrow. But understanding, yo, stay with your flow, and you never know how you may grow.
It's like constant flow of presence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keep on showing up.
For me, it's this big shift in this idea of independence. In America, like we're very much taught this ideal of independence and being totally like self-sufficient and not needing anyone else, and you know we kind of demonize a concept of codependence and this idea that like you should be able to do it all by yourself. And this place has really shown me that like interdependence is not only better, it's natural, and it's like you said, you're able to support each other. It's unrealistic to think you can meet all your own needs all the time, and to strip away those base needs of human connection and support. So getting to be held by a community is transformational, and has been a huge teacher to me. And like you said, just watching people grow here is like the biggest gift for me, and just getting to witness people come in and just have their own transformation and realize like we know how to heal ourselves and we know how to go through that process. We just need space held for us, and yeah, that gets to happen here. I mean, we get to like with this different model of living, it's a model of empowerment and trusting each other, and it's amazing to see how like when we strip away these structures that we think are keeping us in check, we actually have a lot more energy to give, and we're able to give from an even stronger place. And we have like our well is full, so we can fill up each other and show up and support each other, and rest when we need to rest, and not feel like we need to do something outside of where we're at in each moment. So, yeah,
Like
such
a plant.
blessing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the diversity of everybody, you know, we're all adding something different. And like they say in permaculture, diversity breeds resilience. And by having people of all these different backgrounds and nationalities and sexes and races and all these constructs that we've given to different humans, we realize, oh, we're all basically from the same source. And once we really dive down into ourselves, then we can dive into each other and resonate in this great circle that we call life, and we can't get away from that. I think a lot of systems have kind of pushed us away from thinking that way, and being here, it just comes naturally.
Very great. For me, Punta Mona really shifted my way of seeing education an educational center, and how to share knowledge and how to learn and how to teach, really. I was never really resonating with the school system back in Canada, just like sitting in a classroom and taking notes and watching dioramas and like listening to teacher talks in that like really small cubicle and for a few hours and then go out for 15 minutes and then back inside again. Like, no, I needed something more hands-on, like really getting out in the field, getting my hands in the dirt and like sitting outside with the plants and really getting to know them and trying out, like planting a seed at that place, like, oh, let's try to plant a tomato over there, and just watch it grow and then see that it's not working. Okay, why is it not working? Let's go investigate, you know, and try to really push the thought process a little bit further than just questions on a sheet of paper, you know, really creating that deeper connection with the subject that you're studying rather than only having it in manuals and just talking about it. So that really created a different way, a different model of learning and growing. And that doesn't only apply to the permaculture side of the education that is going on here, but also very much about the how to cook in the kitchen, you know, and how to just be human and how to create relationships with other people that come from such different backgrounds in different countries. And it's learning about so much more than just plants.
It's like it comes from a deeper sense of observation and kind of judging with, or observing without judgment, and seeing, for instance, maybe you have a oak tree in your backyard, and when you go to look at the oak tree, you're coming in to see this oak tree not for what it is, but these files that you've created for oak trees, and the oak tree file. And you know, the oak tree, we know it's good for habitat, and it's got a good shade, and it's strong wood, but we're not seeing it for what it is. And so when you get deeper in and you start delving in with your hands and you start just sharing time with your fellow people, you really start to see who they are for what they are, and not these prior conceptions of what you thought that they would be like before you come into an interaction.
You get to the essence of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The last question, I think it's beautiful because we've all been there in certain moment. Like for me, deciding to come here, or you know, like sell everything and like go and start this nomadic adventure and looking for these lifestyles is something that had taken me like so long to really like just make my mind and do it, you know. So it was like a big challenge. And what I would like maybe that we could talk about now is like, how was it for you? Like, what were you doing before this, and how would you, to give some context, and what would you advise that person back then? What would be the piece of advice that you would give to that person back then before starting this whole process of this lifestyle?
Okay, I'll go first. What was I doing before? I was living at a beautiful farm in Colorado. I had lived in Colorado for about 2.5 years. And it was an organic farm, and I learned about seed breeding, and it was just an amazing community around, but I don't think I resonated really with the winters. Don't like the cold that much. I mean, I like snowboarding, but it gets cold. At least there's hot springs. But yeah, the summers are awesome over there. But yeah, what
What was the question?
oh yeah, and then it was what would I tell myself?
Yeah, it's like we we as humans, we go through so many processes that we can see as a metaphor also in nature, right? And sometimes we just want to be the best version of ourselves right now, you know, or you want to do these things that would give you success or that will make you be in the right path. But it's like you know, like I think that we've all been there, and like just deciding to go into this lifestyle, it's not something that you just decide, oh yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, like I'll just, you know, change everything. So it's like, what would be that advice that you would, or that, it can be also like just like a five, you know, like, what would you say to yourself back then when you were living a different lifestyle than this that you're in right now?
So yeah, like releasing this idea of control and that you have to do everything, or that it's all on your shoulders, and you know that comes from having expectations, and they say expectations are the root of unhappiness, and by just letting yourself fill with the love of the world and others, you don't feel like there's a gap in your heart. And just my advice to my past self is, you know, just continue on the path, and just keep loving others, and don't try to control anything, just flow with it all.
Well, I spent the last 6 years in Colorado learning about mindfulness meditation and working in the cannabis industry. But before settling, I was homeless for about 18 months traveling the country. Pretty much some people say, you know, spiritual awakening, mental breakdown, whatever it may be. But it happened when I was shooting my first music video with my first band back in Texas. And my grandmother, my father's mother, was passing from cancer. And her funeral was the same day as my first show. And that really made me question, because that video ended up on MTV. What am I really doing with my life? Because when I saw it, it did. Oh yeah, surprise! Yeah. I didn't feel accomplished. Like I just felt like it was a check mark on some goal that I had, but it was more like I was scared to take it because I felt like someone was putting an identity on me, and I didn't know who I was. And so, you know, there's a pastor back in Texas, his name's T.D. Jakes, and he says, when you know who you are, you know who you are not. But when you don't know who you are, people will make you anything. And so, not knowing who I was, you know, I followed my faith in the fact of, you know, I grew up in the Christian faith, family was pastors, and hearing the stories about the 12 disciples leaving family and friends, reputations, and following Jesus for like 2.5 years to find a deeper truth in life. And so my whole thing was, you know, this is what I truly believe in, and this is my faith. Fuck it. Excuse me. Forget it. I'm gonna let all this go. And you know, it says in the Bible that those who give up mother, father, sister, brother, and lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold. It was like, okay, this is what I believe. This is what I'm gonna do. But I need to find out who I am, and wherever that takes me, it's just where it's gonna take me. And had I not made that decision to let go, I wouldn't be here right now. And it's going down that rabbit hole, even in the fear, to still keep pushing forward. It's like someone told me, fear is false evidence appearing real. And to really understand, you project your fears, and you project it on your environment. And so what you feel internally, again, that's what's gonna manifest itself externally. And so I would literally, what I would probably tell myself, you know, back then is like, yo, keep going. It gets so much better. Bro, just wait, bro. Just wait. You doing music videos, you about to be a farmer. Like, nah. But what's cool about this whole thing is that, you know, the Bible has so many different metaphors about farming that I did not understand until I started this whole journey of farming. Like, granted, farming's it's in the ancestry of both sides of my family. Again, like, we got Grubhub, we got Uber Eats. I ain't really got to worry about that. But to actually, you know, be like, yo, in about 3 or 4 months, I'm gonna have some corn. You got corn, but it makes you appreciate and be grateful for the corn because you knew you put your energy in there. So what I would tell myself is, keep going because it gets so much better, Like something I always teach in my meditation classes is remember the 3 B's, 3 C's, 3 T's. 3 B's, breakdowns before breakthroughs. Things will always break down in your life before things break through into your life. 3 C's, communication creates community. So you have to talk to people to build people, to make people. Even a smile speaks 1,000 words. And then the 3 T's, tact, timing, and tonality. So what you say, when you say it, how you say it, changes the world around you. But the key to these things is vulnerability. So how transparent are you willing to be to manifest your visions into reality? And being here, well, not even just being here, being able to be vulnerable has opened so many different doors for me. To be able to be confident in expressing my personal truth and to see how it's so receptive to so many people who are uncomfortable with truth, and not just with truth but with themselves and understanding the differences between their facts and what truth is. It's like, one candle can light 1,000. All it takes is a spark. And so, we are all that spark, but do we all understand the candles that we can light? In rant.
Yeah, the surrender piece resonates with me a lot. And specifically the idea of I would tell myself to just slow down and not have such an urgency. It reminds me if you plant a seed and you're a day later well, what's going on? Why isn't it growing? And you just dig it back up. No, you gotta patience is a big part. You gotta wait. And one thing we learn here and in permaculture and in those ideas is nothing is waste. There's not nothing is out of place in its natural setting. It's all part of the process. So trusting, going back to those points where I was feeling low, but feeling resistant to really feeling my fear, feeling what was going on and trying to keep moving to get away from it. So to just tell myself, just slow down, let it wash over you, this is part of it. The decomposing, that breakdown before breakthrough, it's all part of the process. No, there's not parts of the process that are bad and we need to get rid of and parts that are good within ourselves. It's all included. And just continuing to build that trust. Just loving myself. It's just it's okay. Stick with this. It'll grow.
Absolutely. I resonate so much with that. Yeah. And to make another permaculture analogy, so not every plant flowers all year long. It takes time. And I guess the advice I would give to myself, if I could just talk to myself a few years ago, is to find a way to dance with the flow of life. And not just resist and try to hold on to what's going on or try to go quicker than it is, but really finding a way to dance with it. It's like a river, you don't want to try to hold on to a rock, and you don't want to try to swim backwards from the flow of the river. No, you want to just be able to let yourself go with it and find a way to guide yourself towards the part of the river you want to go to. So being able to really visualize it and create it and ignite that fire inside of you that wants you and drives you to really go to that place. And just trust the whole process.
Actually, scratch that. I changed my answer. I would tell myself 8 years ago, bro, read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. If I read that book 8 years ago, I would still be on this track. But it would have been more laser sharp. Honestly, I do believe so. So yeah, read The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle.
Well, I don't know if anybody wants to add something else. If not, we could continue. It's so beautiful to talk to you, and from my side, it would be just like, I'm leaving on Saturday, and for me, it's just like, just give yourself time to experience life from a different perspective. It's just amazing, and having like the sea and the jungle and just like this like rooted place in nature, which like we are the visitors, we are the ones coming and going, but nature is like just here, like just waiting to embrace us and to also to kick us out and everything is like just wonderful.
To taste you. Well, we kind of are nature, so it's like we can never really separate ourselves from it. Maybe in our minds that we can, but I like a quote. There's no big or small on the earth. There's no fast or slow in the blue sky. That's from Soru Fukuoka. But it just makes me think back to these conceptions of how we perceive all these constructs of speed and large or small and good and bad. And nature doesn't have those concepts. Mm-hmm. Nature doesn't see us as separate from nature. Nature's just reacting with the processes that maybe we are affecting as a species or as a person. So, yeah, I see, you coming in and putting your energy into the land resonates with that. And so a piece of your energy and a piece of yourself, your skin cells obviously does, it's going to stay here, So, yeah, we appreciate your energy.
Nice. So what would you tell yourself years back?
Whew. Wow, you put me on the spot.
Pop quiz, everybody.
What would I say? Maybe like the thing that comes to mind, and that is like bumping in me like very hard, is just like grace and softness and tenderness when thinking about truth and love. Like even truth and love can be harsh and harmful if you're not graceful enough with yourself first. So for me, it's just like I've been very hard on myself in the past. So I think that's one sweet lesson that I've been learning and trying to just apply to myself and to other people. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, yeah, I hope that that we could have more times like this to talk and to imagine other lifestyles. And I love this idea of thinking about this world that we sometimes stop thinking that it's possible. Like this utopia of something different and something that is kind of out of what the system is already laid before us. And I just think that these opportunities to share are beautiful to see that it exists on each one of us, and that when we put it together and we start living it, it just like starts happening also. And I think we've talked about this, like we don't maybe need to change the world, like just live different lifestyles is good enough to be in a different world. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing, and that's it.
Pura vida.